Such another episode of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is the place we're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Well, we have a very special show today. We have the mayor, Chris Fletcher. We're going to talk about two primary topics, maybe a few odds and ends as well, but mostly about the bond election going on. And also, it seems like roads and streets are, a predominant part of the conversation, but mostly we'll talk about the bonds. Also, in the middle of the show, I'm going to take a little divergence and talk about the new say it right, dummy, health clinic.
Pretty neat.
You're right. You want to show? Yeah. The health clinic we have, it's on Askew Street. I went by yesterday for their open house, took a few pictures, took a couple of videos, and they're going to be on the show in a couple of weeks when they get their feet on the ground. But they're starting. It's something we've been needing.
Absolutely.
And it's very nice. And I think Burleson is going to be blessed by having them there. But anyway, primarily I'm going to talk about the bond issue. After we talk about the people who make all this possible, the sponsors. You probably know these people personally by now, I'd imagine. Anyway, oops, turn off the sound. I've been doing this for almost 2.5, 3 years. I still don't remember to turn on the sound. What is my problem? Anyway, thank you, Daniel. CrossFit Burleson, 317, Southwest Wilshire. Hope things are good. So check out the webpage. Check out the programs, the training, the membership plans, the hours, the whole thing. CrossFitBurleson.com will tell you what you need to know. Thank you, Shandy, over at Stoggsdale Realty Group. I bet you've noticed the real estate issues also, something that probably comes up quite a bit, about tax evaluations, I would imagine.
Over and over.
I got mine the other day, and I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Next time bring a gun, because that way it'll be official robbery. But anyway, it's all right. But that's the way it is. But anyway, Stoggsdale Group, Shandy will tell you how to navigate through all this. She knows where the homes are, and homes are being sold before they even go on the market. So if you don't know somebody like Shandy, you're not going to get a home in Burleson. That's all there is to it. And so I hope if you're planning on moving here, get a hold of her. Also, Rex Russell, the Russell Wealth Group over in Cleburne, myfinancialbox.com is the link you hit, and he'll tell you all about himself. He'll come out and have some coffee with you. He'll meet you where you're at, talk about your 401k, 403b, all those alphabet things. And so there you go. Thank you, Rex, for what you do. Also, Southern Gym. My wife's going to be working for Southern Gym this summer. Then you've been to Southern Gym before?
Southern Gym.
Yeah, the jewelry store.
Oh.
Southern Gym.
Yeah, we know them way, way too well. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Southern Gym on the top floor of the Windmill building, and Mrs. Fletcher's taking you by, has she?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She just points and takes the card.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Gayla is a very sweet woman, and she's her business is doing really well. That whole complex is doing really well. And
it is. It's growing fast.
Yeah, and they're probably opening up that new building. She's going to be moving, or still in the Windmiller building, but maybe get more space.
I think she's taking the top floor, isn't she?
It's been discussed. I don't know if they finalized anything, but she's doing so well that they're going to increase the inventory and whatnot. So I tell her it's because she advertises here, but maybe other reasons. Who knows? Also, thank you to Hotworks over on 714 or John Jones, whichever you prefer. And it's infrared workout. I went there about 2 or 3 weeks ago just to do a little sponsor care, if you want to call it that. And I was surprised, really. Not so much the facility I knew would be nice, but all the different programs they have.
Really?
Yeah, you work out, yoga, aerobics, rowing, biking, all sorts of stuff. And it's all done with infrared, and so it maximizes the workout. And it doesn't leave you as sore. It's like just a typical workout. It's not like CrossFit. CrossFit, that's some serious training. This is more like, you're trying to maintain your health and weight kind of stuff. But anyway, let's talk about what's important today, which is the bond issue. Now, the bond election's been going on. It went on last week, and it's going on today and tomorrow, right?
Correct.
And then Saturday is the main one.
Yes.
And I've heard, and you confirmed that it's been a very low turnout. Why do you think that is? This is pretty important.
Well, we don't have a newspaper anymore. Mm-hmm. Our communication with our citizens is not all that great. Communications does a great job putting these blasts out on Facebook and stuff of that nature. But I don't know. I wished it was better. At 600 people, we got 50,000 living here, and 600 people have voted so far.
And I heard a couple of respondents. I put it out there to some of my friends and on the Facebook page to, if you have any questions, to send them here, and I would edit through them and all that. But and I had that come up a couple of times. Is that it's such a low turnout, and they're concerned that a small group of people are going to determine an $88 million bond issue, and that's not. Well, I mean, it's democratic, I guess, in the sense that we did have an open election, but still, you want more participation and input than that. What has the city council been doing to try to get the word out?
Well, we're leaning on the communication department. One of the things I like to do is the digital signs that I talked about a long time ago. That might come to bear, so we can get something in front of the drivers to just to trigger that. It's tough.
Yeah, it is.
It's how do you reach everybody consistently in such a way where they see it? They don't have to go look it up.
Well, one person said she voted. Sherry Estep Scott said she voted. And so, and I do know a couple of people from a Sunday school class that voted. So there are people voting, but I haven't seen many signs, during a typical bond election. I've been here 30 plus years, and school bond elections tend to generate quite a bit of attention, but this has really been a quiet election. And is that concerning to you?
Very much. I've probably not done quite a dozen get-togethers where I speak and answer questions. I put my email out there, give me a phone number, I call. In fact, I was in the parking lot talking to a lady a while ago. The phone calls have dropped off. One of the things that's really kind of concerning me is the negative aspect from people that don't even live in Burleson. That's all over Facebook. It's just over and over about just don't vote for bonds, period.
Well, that's a bit short-sighted. And see, to be honest, I believe I know what page you're referring to. I don't spend any time on it, so I haven't seen any in my world of Facebook and social media and other places. I haven't seen pro or con. I haven't seen a lot of abuse. I haven't seen a lot of let's go out and make this happen either.
It'll get one post will start getting a lot of recognition, but and I agree with you. The jobs that's on the streets is needed. It's not, there's not any plants or stuff like that. There was one issue about a 10-foot sidewalk, and the 10-foot sidewalk on Irene is ridiculous. It took parking away from some houses and stuff like that. It has nothing like that. These are just wider sidewalks up above the curb. And it's for the students to use. Yes. But other than that, that's the only thing that's really not. We've got a railroad trestle on Hewlin. The road goes underneath it. And it's pretty amazing that we got two gates on the road that blocks it when it rains.
Well, not only that, it's a very low bridge. I mean, it's
very much.
Yes, and because I've driven it more than once, and I've noticed that, man, this is lower than typical bridge. I mean, no truck of any size can get through it.
And there's 3 subdivisions feeding off of that around that bridge. So when it rains, all of that traffic gets dumped onto Wilshire. So we got that. The other thing is the new stoplight system that allow us to program on the fly. So if we got a football game getting out, or maybe it's the morning rush or the evening rush where we can turn the lights on a little longer.
Right.
Double lanes and stuff like that, adding lanes.
Well, and, the content of the bond, the police station, the fire station, the roads, is that what they're debating about, or is it just the idea of borrowing the money?
They're thinking that our property taxes are going to go up because of this, and it is absolutely wrong. In fact, we have had record property rate reductions since I've been in office. We've got another one planned.
Really? Okay. I don't live in the city, so I deal with the county, and I did not get a property rate reduction from Mr. Scott Porter. So, but the city has been able to lower some of the rates.
Yes, and to take credit for that, it is maybe the state. They passed a deal called NNR, no new revenue, meaning that the town is supposed to offset the increase in revenue by reducing your rate. And we've done that. We did 2.5 cents, and we got 3 cents coming up. We have to keep in mind that the city's expenses are going up too, a lot. You know,
No doubt.
you got a fire truck gets 2 miles a gallon of diesel, and it's gone from $1.80 to nearly $5.
Well,
And that's just one small part.
you're the mayor. Can't you handle, can't you control diesel prices with a wave of your hand?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, $5
and
diesel.
everything.
Yeah.
And now we've also got people trying to buy our employees to go to work for them. That's another issue. Salaries are going up, and rightfully so when expenses are going up. And we've never seen a model like this. So how do you plan when you don't see a model? I like the fact that the city manager and our director of finance, Martin Avila, they are ahead of the curve. In fact, when we came up with numbers before we even got the committee together, it was using history to price the new structures. And then our history went south because we're in a whole new aspect. You know, you was talking a while ago about people are buying houses sight unseen.
Exactly right.
And then moving here, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that," but that's kind of a problem. All of this stuff does not raise the property tax. Now, here's the deal: if we don't get this bond passed, we cannot come back and fund this for 3 years. So we've got to figure out other ways to do it, and it could be jeopardizing tax rate reductions down the
Well,
road.
you kind of brought up a point I was going to ask you a little further into the conversation, but we'll jump to it, is if this doesn't pass, these things are still going to be needed, particularly the roads. And so they'd be funded through the budget, through line item, budgetary items, right? You have to fund it from direct revenues from the city.
Correct.
And so that would be, it'd make it difficult to maintain the tax rate. In fact,
It'd be slower getting stuff done.
would it also mean that you might have to increase the tax rates?
I won't increase the tax rate.
Okay.
No, we're getting the valuations is giving us more money. We just got to, and we will reduce it some more. We might just not be able to reduce it as much.
Now I understand on the bond package thing. You said it can't be put out for 3 years. Is that what? Am I correct in
We
what you
can't
said?
fund it for 3 years.
Okay. What I understand is if you come back, you can come back within a year with a different bond package, not this one, but a different one.
Put it in front of the people again.
And put it in front of the people again. So we could have an election within a year if we come up with a modified or altered bond package. But this particular one that you have put in front of the people can't be for another 3 years.
So what are you going to take off?
I don't know. You can.
And what's going to happen between now and then for something else?
I don't know. It'll probably be more expensive, I'd imagine. But I just want to clarify that because I get confused with this because I've hear people say if we don't pass this, we can't pass the bond for 3 years. And I said no, we can't pass this bond for 3 years is what I understand. But anyway, so that
Basically, we can't go pull a certificate of obligation, which is just to be passed by the council.
right.
We can't do that.
But it would seem to me if this one doesn't pass, a year from now may not be any more likely to pass.
Well, roads get bad enough; it might have a little more attention.
Maybe so. Okay. I want to kind of go back to the kind of the under the radar aspect of this bond election. To be frank, I have not seen any of the council members supporting it or opposing it for that matter. But I haven't seen any, like the 4 council people that voted for this bond package, I have seen the hide and hair of them about, well, except for yourself. You were one of the 4, I forget. But you've been here, and I know you've been doing things, but I haven't seen the other city council members doing anything.
It's on them.
It's on them? Okay, well.
I think I'm a little different than most. You didn't have to roll your eyes that much, but the fact is that I see a need here that needs to be addressed, and I'm supposedly
You're the point man.
I'm the point man,
right.
and I need to stand up and get the job done.
I fully agree, but I watched a couple of the live streams, and particularly Mr. Stanford and Ms. Payne, seem very adamant about the need for this bond, yet I haven't seen them pushing it. And that's kind of, and I think that's important for them to do so because they ran on, not just transparency issues, but also ran on, about financial obligations and being careful with them and all this other business. And if they voted in favor of this bond issue, I'd like to see them tell me why it's worth my vote if I had a vote to give, which I don't.
Well, Jimmy's been with me on a couple of events,
Okay.
and he's been very helpful on it.
Okay.
Was first starting out, and I was still learning how to do this, but he's helped me out on several stuff like that.
Okay. I'm sure
And
that's
I know,
the case, but
I know Dan's also in favor of it.
I do. I haven't seen Dan McClendon either. But see, I want to make clear because I haven't seen it doesn't mean it didn't happen. I mean, we don't all travel on the same social media pages, and I'm not a member of the Lions Club or whatever else, and so I'm not implying that it's not happening. I'm just not seeing it, and if I'm not seeing it, I bet a lot of other people aren't seeing it as much either. Not that I'm the senator of Burleson by any means, but I'm fairly active in the keeping up with what's going on. I'm on several pages on Facebook that deal with municipal matters, like Sir Carlson's page and whatnot, and I'm just not seeing much traction.
Well, and that might be an issue. It really might be. I know what I need to do, and I'm fighting the battle as much as I can.
Well, you're being here twice during this election period is testament to that. And I'm sure you've been talking to this group, like Lions Club, Rotary Club, Chamber of Commerce, things like that. But I don't know. I'm used to seeing signs. I'm used to seeing, public discussions, whatever, and I haven't seen anything like that.
The fireman has her signs out. And
that's the only ones I've seen. It's over at the senior center. I've seen that one. But as far as like in the last election a couple of years ago, you couldn't swing a dead cat around here without hitting an election sign, particularly yours. I've
never heard that analogy.
Yeah, but I had people putting signs out where I live, and we can't even vote. I'm like, give me a break, you got more publicity than Andrew Jackson, I'm telling you. But anyway, but it just is funny, or ironic is the better word. But anyway, hopefully in this week you'll be able to gin up some interest. A lot of people may be just waiting on May 7th, but it's not going to be downtown or the city hall like it normally is. It's still going to be at the senior center, right?
Correct. And the reason we went for that because and we don't want electioneering. We don't want people standing around. Which on this it doesn't make any difference because it doesn't seem like we're getting filled up real quick anyway.
Electioneering.
It's a disappointing thing to not have more people turn out.
It is. It really, and I've been preaching that song or sermon for years with my classes. Young people don't vote and all this. And, turnouts, for presidential elections is disappointing. And I tell my students, my college classes, the most important elections you'll vote in are the local ones because they're the ones that deal with the stuff you have to deal with, taxes, streets, crime, whatever else you want to talk about. It's all well and good to watch presidential guys get after it, but when it gets right down to the nuts and bolts of going through your day, it's the local governing that takes over. And to me, the fact that even your last election had, was it like 12% vote turnout, something like that? And that was a good vote turnout.
Yeah, it was like 12,000.
Yeah, and
over 13,000.
Yeah, and that was I don't know if it's quite that many. I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I just know that
it was pretty close. It was
it was the only election I can remember that really had a high turnout. It was we had a tax revenue election for the school system about a decade ago, and it failed by 8 votes, and it had a pretty good turnout for a school election.
I think one of the reasons schools have such turnout is they've got a kind of captured base with teachers and parents and stuff of that nature.
Yeah, well, that's probably true. I mean,
they're involved whether they like it or not.
Yeah, you got that right. When I just remember that particular episode back in 2012, we weren't pressured, but we were asked as teachers to go out and support the bond if we could do so. And, so I put a sign in the yard, things like that. And I talked to a few people, and I went to a meeting, I think, and that kind of stuff. But we were not pushed into doing it. We just said, look, we need your help. You know why we need this help, so make up your mind. But it wasn't It wasn't like some sort of arm twisting deal. But anyway, I'm digressing. I want to go back to something you mentioned before, the consequences of this not passing. The roads aren't going to get any better by themselves, like you say. What would you be able to do in the meantime if this does not pass? I mean, to try to solve some of these issues that we're facing.
Well,
would it mean budget cuts in some other areas?
yes, we'd have to take a look at it overall, set our priorities, and some of the bigger jobs probably just won't get done.
And the police station will still be underutilized. I don't know what the word is. It's not enough space.
It's just not enough room. You know, when you're 85% filled on your property room where all the evidence is, that's something we're going to have to deal with. We're going to have to find the money somewhere to find more storage for the evidence room. And
this other fire station that would probably slow down response time if we had a fire.
Well, the west side's not covered. It's just not, and we've got 3,400 homes coming in out there, and another possible development coming in with that.
Yeah. Well, and then was it that the Rocky Bransom's group coming in?
The Summit.
Yeah, it's going to come in. I have a question here. Why wasn't it spelled out on the ballot what the bond was for? It was just a for or against vote. She says it's spelled out in your brochure, but not on the ballot. The ballot itself doesn't say. It says A and B, and it doesn't really specifically say this is where the money's going. Is that what I
really thought that we were supposed to have placards up that was supposed to explain that, and I don't guess that happened.
All right, because I've heard that from a couple of people. They were voting yes or no on the bond because of the idea of bonds themselves, as opposed to what the money was going for.
And I understand that.
Yeah, they like I'm a pro bond or anti bond or whatever, or I trust the city if they're asking for money that they need it and that kind of thing. But they didn't really know that what they're voting on was for this. I mean, these things here that you spelled out so well in the pamphlet here in the brochure. So do you think that might be an issue as well?
Could be. I thought we'd addressed that in the meetings, that we was going to have that information available at and you got to, you can't promote it. The city can print this because it's informational. To say we need that, we can't do that. Now, as a citizen, I'm a citizen right now. I could say it. But as far as city employees and stuff that at work, can't do that.
You can't use city funding for political activities.
There you go.
Yeah. So it sounds like what you were hoping to happen hasn't happened yet towards this bond election. In terms of getting the word out, in terms of the information, I can almost tell the frustration in your voice, to be honest.
It is. As much as I care about this town, we have things that we have to do. And I'm respectful of a yes or a no vote. We live in a great country. But I'm going to be frustrated if I didn't explain my side of it better, or how do we get more people to the polls?
I've been asking that question for years, because I haven't missed an election I was eligible for except once in 1986, and I was sick. Doggone it. But I was something that was ingrained in me by my dad, and I try to ingrain it in my children. He haven't missed many votes either. And I think a lot of people maybe didn't grow up in that kind of situation where voting was just expected. I mean, there wasn't any conversation about, are we going to vote? It was like, yes, we're going to be there and that kind of thing. But can I ask you a couple of, personal questions about this, or is it?
Yeah, go ahead.
A couple of years ago, you ran about the debt issues. Have you gotten a lot of people giving you a hard time that you're now out pushing increased debt?
Yeah, there's some things that I still agree with the per capita number. I felt like it was too high when you compared it to other towns and stuff of that nature. I didn't agree with, I don't believe in using design build companies where the architects and the general contractor work for the same guy. There's no incentive to be cost effective on the building when this guy over here is going to be building it too. So we've changed some of that stuff. it's overall. The bond money is one of the things that I didn't understand how that works. You know, when you go get a loan, you have to have collateral. When the city goes and gets a loan, there's no collateral. So you go by a bond rating.
Right.
Our bond rating is good.
I'm sure it is.
We had what we owe remaining principal. Then you got this gap right here, and you've got your debt limit. When you're in this middle, that is funds that's available to you that they trust you with. So when you look in that number, we had $150 million available that they lacked. We needed 86. And when we did that, we did it in that range where our payment didn't go up. So if we're making our payments now and in the past, and we're getting 86 more million, and our payment's the same, we're not going to have to do any raising of property taxes, stuff of that nature.
I was just wondering if, though, some of the people that voted for you, to be frank, they voted for you because they were concerned about debt and bonds, and I just wondered if you've had to go back to those people and say,
I had to explain that to them.
Yeah.
The fact when we ran, we did not have the growth like we have right now, and that's a big deal. I mean,
Well, I just kind of feel badly for you in a sense because because I can imagine some of the people may be expressing some discontent,
and that's fine. I don't blame it at all. I'd be in the same boat. But we have jobs to do. The one group that's against all bonds, it don't matter if it's saving the children bond. They'd probably be against it. And where I'm at on this is if you vote no on this, the problem doesn't go away. It just doesn't. I mean, it's
we're going to need these things. It really, even the people I talk to all agree that we need these things. I think some of the issue is the structure of how the bond was put there. The fact, like I mentioned just a few minutes ago, that it was not explicitly spelled out on the ballot and that kind of thing. Or they said, and they're also concerned about interest rates. Now, the bonds that we hope to sell, are those interest rates already been locked in?
The last review we had on last year, they had this pie chart, and they had a little sliver come in. That was our interest expense, and it was 1%.
Right.
I cannot tell you how a bond works, except I know there's certificates you sell, and you do this and you do that, and at the end of the day, that's your interest.
Right, and so the bonds that we're going to be charged 1%, and they are tax free,
and they could go up a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about, because this week the Federal Reserve is supposed to raise it up another 0.5 point, and I wondered if that was going to change how much we would have to charge on the bonds, or would it, if they already were locked in at like 1.5%, and now bonds are going to go for 2.5%. I wonder if that would make it more difficult to sell the bonds, because now our bonds are not paying as much as what somebody could get now on a new bond issue.
I'm sure it's going to fluctuate some, not to our favor, but I can't see it being a massive change.
Okay, somebody here tells me that their rates are assessed when the bond is issued, so they won't be changing once they're issued. I just hope, and there's also other costs of borrowing,
Yes.
that you have to deal with, the fees and the whatnot, and the stipends for who's doing the selling and that kind of stuff. But it just bonds are going to be, here's another asset in your favor, another point in your favor. If you were talking to people, bonds are going to be harder to sell next year than they are this year, because the interest rates are going to be higher. And so if we have to compete in selling those bonds in the open market, and our interest rate is lower than what somebody could receive from like the city of Fort Worth or something like that, we're going to have to take a haircut on the price of the bond.
But the growth is so great, and there's so many more opportunities out there right now.
Well, I'm just saying that when
proportionately speaking, your situation is also going to go up, and the bond will. Yeah, it's probably going to go up.
And that's what I guess you could use when you're talking to these people. Said if we don't do it now and we have to do it 2 years from now, it's going to cost us more money.
Well, and we're at that boat right now. I tell you what, we had the new care facility out at the animal shelter. When I first got on, that unit was going to cost $500,000, and this is all the special walls so you can keep it clean. Each stall has its own sewer line to the main. This was an expensive building. We choked on the price, and less than a year later, we built it for $950,000. Less than a year later.
That's what I would. I guess that's what I would tell if I were, pushing this bond publicly like you are. I would say, look, the borrowing's going to go up, the material's going to go up. This fire station that costs us X now is going to cost us X plus 10%, 20% 2 years from now. And so, there's some people I very much respect and I'm very fond of that we're not 100% on board with each other about the bond. But I support the bond because I know there's going to be a lot more expensive in the future, both borrowing and construction.
See, I'm on the same page with you. I got friends that are just don't trust government.
Well, and I don't like being on the other side of an issue with some of these people because they're good friends and they're good people.
I'm there.
Smart people. But I just, the pros outweigh some of the cons on the bond issue. Not just we need this stuff, but no one's going to give it to us for free or half off next year or the year after. Even if we have a recession where things supposedly get cheaper, they don't get cheaper. Even now it's going to be a pull to build some of this stuff because of labor and supply issues.
And here's another thing. The council still has control of the projects. If they get out of range, we're going to have to assess it. We might not be able to build it. We still have control of these projects as they come into priority.
I do, when you talk about people who are just opposed to bonds of all kinds, I find that ironic because bonds are, municipal bonds, county bonds. Well, that's how things get built. I mean, if we don't build major projects out of budgetary items out of the back of our pocket. I mean, if you wanted to build, a new fire station, it's not like you can just appropriate $33 million in the next budget for it.
Well, here's one of the things. Somebody says, well, why don't we pay cash for that? If we saved up $40 million, I would be upset with the government for saving up $40 million.
Well, and not only that, but cost of borrowing right now is so low that
it's beating inflation.
It's beating inflation, but inflation, 8.5% now.
We're at 1%.
Yeah, and
or around there.
Yeah, and then you get a situation where, that we wait, and now we have to. We're in a situation that we're, dangerously understaffed in police and fire, and the streets are just totally impassable. Yeah, we're going to wish maybe we had. And I talked at length with a couple people that had their questions, but they're going to vote for it anyway because they see the need. But the question I've put in front of you what their concerns were about the lack of specifics, I suppose, and they're I think if they had access to these pamphlets here, these brochures here, I think they might answer some of the questions. Like the streets here are specifically lined out. Which ones?
And this is online.
Yeah. And you have
BurlesonTX.com.
And you got the QR code, which a lot of people like.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel your pain as some president who I forget his name, said, about having to go back to people and deal with, and say, this is important, and they may not be on board with you.
That's fine. And I'm not going to hold a grudge for someone saying no on this, or I'm not that way.
Well, I hope it hasn't been personal.
There's been a couple that was pretty adamant about saying no. No, it's okay. It's okay.
Well,
I like passion.
Yeah.
It's not
Well, in my case, the 2 or 3 people I'm talking about that we're not on the same page on this. They've been respectful, so I didn't have the same experience. And they're very bright people, so I thought, they make me think. But there you are. Well, even though,
No, I'm there. I've had some very smart people
you know,
start asking me questions, and I tell them, I need to do some research.
oh, it's not only that, but I mean, you're out there pushing for a bond issue, and they're probably going to ask you questions you can't answer because you didn't anticipate that question. And I know if I were trying to sell it, and I'd like to think, I have some experience with this because I've sold bonds before. Not sold bonds personally as a profession, but for the school system. I remember in 2006 we had, no, was it 2006? No, it was 2003. We had another school bond issue that built Centennial High School, and I was on that committee, and I was pushing that a lot harder than the other example I gave you. And I'd go and speak in front of people. We need this, and they said, "Well, how about this? What about this?" I'm like, "Hey, aren't these donuts good?" You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because I find myself at a loss sometimes, and I
got to use that one.
Yeah. I'm going to run to the second round of commercials, and then at the end of the second round, let's talk about that health clinic for a minute, and then we'll go back to something that's fun. All right, thank you to Otto at our place. He gets around a lot. He's been in Vegas. He's been in Dubai. How often do you get to our place? A couple times a month or a couple times a week?
I've got a couple of guys that I have kind of set breakfast or something like that.
Yeah, we do too.
And we go up there.
We every other week on Thursday mornings, my Sunday school men and I, early morning, get together, and I'm in a networking group, and that's where I take people for meetings. So, but it's a
breakfast.
It is, isn't it?
And chicken pot pie. I think it's on Wednesday.
It is, and no, he's been really good to me as a sponsor because he's been helpful for several things. But thank you, Otto, for what you do for the community. Honestly, that would be a good place to put some sort of information out there because not everybody is going to be able to vote, of course, but there's a lot of Burleson people there. That might be a good place to.
I'll call Mike when I get through here and tell him. That'd be a good place.
He'll be.
Is Otto still in Vegas?
No, he's back now. But he'll be more than glad to put one of these out there because he's a civic supporter. Also, here at another place you want to put some out. Wild Cigar. Chris Notaboom, the owner, will be on Thursday. We're going to talk about
that place is really taking off.
It is. It's a good place. It's a quiet place. And he has really fancy cigars. I mean, I know you're not a cigar smoker, and I'm very occasional smoker, so I don't know anything about fancy cigars. But if you're the kind that knows what they're talking about, it's a place to go. It has got a big old humidor. It has all sorts of exotic brands. But I've been there 2 or 3 times, and just it's just a place you can talk without and be heard, without having to shout. But he's going to be on. We're going to talk about what's it like running a business in this economy. And this is another place. I'm sure Chris will be glad to put some of these out for people to peruse while they're having a smoke and a drink. Also, Antonio Basalo, Proactive Payment Solutions with the point of sales operations. I had to get educated on what this was. It's the electronic payment systems, and also it could make your business a lot more efficient, more effective. He's a really interesting story. I had him on about 3 weeks ago, and so he talked about his immigration experience. And he's a really, really fine young man he's built a couple businesses, shows you what this country really can do for you. And tomorrow, I have Tiffany Griffin at Local Life Magazine, at the Local Life Marketing Group. The magazine is going to be here. Local Life TX is up, locallifetx.com. And she's going to talk about not just a local magazine. I want to ask her questions about her daughter's prom because, there's all these Facebook photos of prom. Everybody's mother is like 50 of them. I'm like,
be careful.
Yeah, and then we have this group here. Yeah, this group. You have the Burleson Medical Clinic. Okay, there we go. Burleson Medical Clinic. The Caring Physicians Charity Network is putting this on. They got several of these around the country, and they had kind of a soft opening, if you will, last Monday. But yesterday they had open house. And about 2 of the ladies I go to Sunday school with volunteer for this. If you don't know what it is, it's on Haskew Street. It's on the corner of the Baptist Church parking lot. It used to be the Promises building way back, and it's a smaller building, but it used to be the Promises building, not the one on Renfro that has been built, but it's on the northeast corner. And it's something we both can agree we've been needing for quite some time. They'll be glad to give you a tour if you want to drop by.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure I could just walk in.
No, you can. I did Tuesday. I mean, I didn't, not for an appointment, but I walked in. I just said after the show, I went by, I said, I want them on my show. And so I just drove by, and just so happened that one of the Sunday school ladies I mentioned worked there. I didn't know that till then. But so they let me in. They gave me a small tour. They'll be glad. You're the mayor of the town. They'll be more than glad to give you a tour. It's not like, they don't. They're very nice people. And
Russ has already offered, and we just hadn't connected. This was a dream of one of the doctors that retired from Texas South, Texas Health. Texas
yeah,
Health.
you talking about Dr. Perryman?
Yes.
Yeah, I met him yesterday.
Yeah, and this was on track before COVID, and that kind of knocked everything down. Guy's got a big old heart. I know that.
It must have. I mean, because this is truly God's work. This is if this ain't the very epitome of Christian living, I don't know what is. I mean, serving the sick and the poor like this. But anyway, let's run through some of the photos I took with my phone. This is Cindy Campbell. She runs the office and whatnot. And I have her on video in a couple of clips from now to talk about the clinic more specifically, but she's very nice and she's very enthusiastic. And so there you are. There's the Cindy Rutledge. So I was thinking that's Christy Gardner. Christy Gardner is a retired pharmacist, and she's going to be kind of helping them with the pharmacy aspect of this and trying to obtain discounted medicines and whatnot. Now, they don't have a full pharmacy, but they're going to try to do the best they can. There, of course, is Dr. Perryman, a very nice gentleman. We had a nice conversation, and he was very excited about this. They have hang on, not so fast. Right. It's a very limited lab space. I do ask about lab work, and some of that they'll have to farm out. They could do some simple stuff and blood tests and whatnot, but as far as the more X-rays and stuff like that, they have relationships with companies that do that. And what we got here, this is one of the examination rooms. They have 3 of them, and
They did a great job on that side of this place.
didn't they? I mean, they really did. Because I've been in there when it was Promises. It's part of our church pantry, if you will, and and it looked a lot different. But they had all this nice equipment. Also, I think this one they have teledoc, like FaceTime for doctors. With so if you're like can't make it, they could do a FaceTime visit with you. I had this when my doctor. About 2 months ago when I got the flu, and I didn't want to go all the way to the doctor, so we just did it over the phone on FaceTime, and so they got that set up. So even if you can't make it as a patient, there you are. Now, it's not a Medicare, Medicaid type situation. It's for people that have jobs, really, but they don't make enough money, and they don't have insurance through their jobs. So it's really meant for like the working people, and that's what I like most about it, because the government takes care of the people with it below certain poverty levels or without jobs, whatever else. But here you got people that work, but insurance is so expensive, or they work for small outfits that can't afford insurance. I really like the fact that they can have a place to go. But anyway, run the first clip. What's interesting about the clip, it started, I couldn't hear what you were saying over all the racket. And so we went to one of the examination rooms, and by halfway through it, tap, 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 and so it's cut in the middle.
Street on the corner of the First Baptist parking lot. So tell us how it got started, how it is being arranged, who's going to be served, and how they'll be served.
You bet. Thank you for being here to find out about the clinic.
Oh, sure.
The beginnings of the clinic, about 2.5, 3 years ago, even before the pandemic, a gentleman by the name of William Perryman, who is a physician who's been at Hughley for his career, 40 plus years. He saw a need and started gathering people, started gathering resources, and began the planning process. First Baptist Church here in Burleson and Pathway Church in Burleson were very enthusiastic about the idea, and they came together, and Dr. Perryman was kind of instrumental in getting this clinic, the physical space, renovated.
This used to be Promises back in the day, but now Promises is on Renfro. and this space was available.
Absolutely, it was. We had 2 big offices, and they were divided each, and so we now have 3 3 exam rooms and 1 telehealth room.
Yeah, that's here. So here we get.
Okay, we
This
were
is with the
briefly
door
interrupted.
shut. You can hear all the racket going on.
From the beginning, from the top, where you were telling us about First Baptist and Pathways that put this together, and then the building was available. Who does it serve? What kind of clientele will you have?
You bet. Our main focus is on the uninsured. The people who have Medicare and Medicaid are covered because they have income limits that will provide care to those individuals. But we want basically the working person who does not have insurance.
I see. And so you do ask for appointments to be made because you don't always have the right doctor standing by. So you want appointments.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay, good. That should be clarified. So if you're wanting to use this service, then you need to make an appointment, and then when the doctor's available, it can be treated.
Exactly. We have adult health, which is on Wednesday. We have women's health, which is on Monday, and we have pediatric health, which is on Thursday.
Okay. And what is the expense to the patient?
Great question. There is no expense for the visit with the physician. There might be a small fee. We try to put prescriptions on that from the $4 list at Walmart, and there might be a small fee for any labs or any imaging that would be needed.
Okay, so you could do x-rays here?
We do not do x-rays here. We work with a couple of companies in the community.
I see.
And same with laboratory. We work with a hospital and with another laboratory.
And if I don't have insurance but my child is sick, my child is also treatable here too?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for what you're doing for the community. We've been wanting this for a long time, so God bless you what you've been doing for us.
We are so very excited that we're here, and we need patients. We need volunteers.
We need patients more way than one. Huh?
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, we were briefly interrupted.
All right. Anyway, isn't it great?
Oh, it is. And it's needed with all the nonprofits that we have.
Oh, yes. Yeah, this has been a busy month for me personally in the neighborhood, so to speak, because there's been so many nonprofit activities. And I guess as mayor, you see it more globally now, just how many we have, many people we have that work for these kind of these nonprofit organizations. You know, Next Step Women's Center, Fitability TX, and I had this Center for ASD,
Yes.
which I know is you're familiar with, and I got one just asked me today. In fact, this group of that's going to try to help with adoptions and whatnot. Another, and on and on and on. I have one a week from Friday about foster care, trying to try and help people that are getting out of foster care, how they can transfer into regular life, if you will. So Re-Inspire, it's called. So it's. It's the best part of this job. I can tell you that, and it's probably the best part of your job too. I mean, you go in there and nobody's going to hassle you about bonds. They can just have a nice time talking about the charity event or whatnot.
We have one bunch that they had a booth at the library during their deal. Heavenly Sleep. They make bunk beds and give the bunk beds away.
Yeah, I've been trying to get a hold of them people. Somebody has suggested that. Another organization is those blessing boxes. Sherry Step Scott.
Oh, Sherry Scott.
Yeah, she really does a great job with that. I think that's a genuine Christian outreach. I just at this job I've gotten a lot better perspective about just how many people really sacrifice time, money, and effort for others, and it's a good place to be. You probably have seen that even more up close in the last couple of years.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm so proud of so many of these people that the center of ASD. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that existed, and then I walked through and I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah. Do you get asked to go to a lot of these things? I'd imagine.
I go to a bunch of them. I don't know if it's a lot. I mean,
well, I'm sure it's a lot for some. I mean, more than one.
You can't help all of them, though.
You're right.
That's the problem you get into. You get your heart gets touched, and you want to do more, and you're already in several other
sure.
places.
Sure. I mean, if I had a bigger wall, it'd be great. But I just wondered about your time. I mean, you got to probably set some time for
that's
Mrs.
fine.
Fletcher and
She
family.
usually goes with me.
Okay.
Did you hear about, I go to the Burleson Church of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
This last Sunday was packed the pulpit for Harvest House. So
I've heard, I've heard they've done that before.
yeah, we do it every year. I got it started
Mm-hmm.
back when I was on the board at Harvest House, and I termed that. It was in my first term, and we've been doing it ever since. But we collected 20,000 pounds of food Sunday.
Yeah.
That,
That'll do it.
man, that makes your
Yeah.
chest stick out.
Yeah, it
proud,
does.
and-
Man, and it makes you feel like you're part of the community and you're doing not just your bit, but also you're fulfilling the Christian commandments. So I really like that a lot. We're running close on time, but I just, I know that you probably have found out a lot of things that you wish you could take care of. You find really are either out of your hands or just very, very difficult to change. And roads being the main thing I'm thinking of, because I live out in the country just a little bit, and I'm just when those houses come in on Renfro, I hope we have a plan for that.
We're trying to.
Yeah.
We're voting on it.
You don't understand you have a special session today about Wilshire, is that right? Or at least your work session, maybe is a better word for it.
Yeah, we have a work session at 3, and
In Wilshire,
communication is wanting to talk, and Wilshire's got some issues, and actually, I want to clean up Wilshire. We do a great job in Old Town, but I wanted to clean up on Wilshire, and that's also tying in and trying to get the traffic through. That'll be an interesting talk today.
Well, I avoid it if I can. And
I do.
If I don't have to go down past the school administration building and past Target, if I can avoid it, I will.
Yeah, we go around Hidden Creek as much as we can.
Me too. But, I had one person, our friend James, is asking about that road situation in Renfro with the new houses coming in.
Yeah.
So I'll tell him that you're on the job.
I'm fighting it hard.
Well, I'm going to run through the sponsors real quick just at the end, and then I'm going to give you the last word to tell it what you would want people to know about the bond and what they need to be doing as a citizen. So thank you, Daniel, CrossFit Burleson. Hope you're doing well. Hope you, Amber, and the kids are doing well. So we appreciate your sponsorship. And you too, Shandy. Hope you're doing well. She is a graduating senior, so she's getting all excited about that. She was one of the prom picture mothers. But Shandy Stogsteel Group, if you're looking to move, you need to talk to her because we're booming out here. So also thank you to Rex. With the stock markets going up and down, you need to have somebody to hold your hand. So he's a good one for it. He's been doing a long, long time. So hit My Financial Box at the Russell Wealth Group, and it'll set you right up. Also, thank you to Gayla over at Southern Gym. She's doing fantastic. I mean, I've been in there several times, and it's for us men, it's dangerous because we're not, we take the wives there and they get the big eyes and all this and. Yeah,
I didn't know you take your wife. Mine just goes.
I'm like, well,
I don't.
I like it. Well, now that my wife's gonna be working there, I'm really gonna be in trouble. And she's gonna be there every day.
Employee discount.
Yeah. Well, we'll see about that. Yeah, and then also thank you to Michelle Humphrey over at Hotworks. We'll get you a different type of workout over there on John Jones, over by the theater in Kroger. Also, thank you to Otto. Hope you're doing well. I'll be seeing you sometime, I think this week. I believe we have another lunch planned with my networking group, so I'll see you, Otto. He walks around like a big shot. He just reminds me of like one of these old maitre d's in these fancy restaurants, or like, he thinks he's Frank Sinatra walking through the Vegas or something. Anyway, thank you to Wild Cigar. I'll see Chris on Thursday. We'll talk about how his business is done, and particularly in this economic time. Inflation's brutal. $4 gas is not my idea of a good time, but there you are. Also, thank you to Antonio. Hope you're doing well. Hope your business is taking off. Proactive Payment Solutions help you save some money, save some time. And we'll see Michelle, I'll say it right, Tiffany. We'll see Tiffany tomorrow at Local Life Magazine. She's going to have her new issue, and there you are. Now, tell us what you would want us to know as citizens about this bond and what we need to be doing about it. Just get out and vote.
Yeah. I can understand exactly why people are skeptical about borrowing money and stuff of that nature. But the fact is, as the state says, we're going to have 20,000 new people in Johnson County in the next 10 years. Our roads are already backed up. Technology is out there to help us. We've got 3 subdivisions on Hewlin, and Hewlin has a section that floods so bad that we had to gate it off. That puts everything back on Wilshire. I'm not a big fan on borrowing money, but the numbers are right on the bond. Our payment won't go up. It's not going to affect the tax rate. And we are redoing the tax rate as fast as we can. Mm-hmm. We've had 2 really good years of reductions, significant reduction is hopefully coming next year. So I'm just truly impressed with our city employees. They this is something they come with recommendations. We ask for things, they do it. Maybe the council needs to get out there and call your councilman, call me, whatever you need to do. You got questions, I'm there for you. And also, don't forget that the brochure is online, burlesontx.com/2022 bond. It's a good read. So
Well, we'll put the logo in the ad rotation. Say it right, the ad rotation. Tomorrow's show and Thursday's show to remind about the election on.
Don't forget about the amendments
and the amendments. The
sub courthouse.
Yeah, it's all in one location though, right? For the voting.
No.
Okay.
One is at Burleson Sub Courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
Ours is at Senior Citizen.
I thought for some reason both of them were at the senior center.
No, that's been confusing.
Yeah.
It really has. In fact, the people at the Senior Citizen is telling everybody you have to go over there to vote for the constitutional amendments.
Okay. Well, okay, and we'll put it in the ad rotation to remind people of the votes on Saturday. Tomorrow, the last day of early voting, right?
Right, and then the 7th. We finish up on the 7th.
And we'll know probably about 8 o'clock Saturday night, yes or no, right?
Yep, I'm not going to worry about it no more.
Yeah, well, I bet if it doesn't pass, you'll worry.
No, I mean, it is what it is. Good Lord, take care of us.
I guess so. That's a good way to end the show. Taylor, I'm holding you responsible for reminding me tomorrow and Thursday, huh?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it.
I enjoy it, Brad. I really do.
Okay, we're going to do this again when you have maybe a little more time to talk about just general stuff as opposed to something as critical as this.
Thank you, brother.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
See you.